This is Jeff Spieler, Tech Agronomist with DeKalb and Asgrow in southern South Dakota. Today we're going to talk about the factors to consider with early planting corn, right? So we get a lot of questions right now, as we always do, whether to pull that trigger or not. Really the two main risk things I like to look at. So if you do plant and get into a replant scenario, right? We lost that stand. That's really worst case because now we don't have that originally intended product on that acre. And two, we probably are in a much later planting window, which is also going to reduce yield significantly. So those are probably the worst case scenario. Also, if we just have a reduced stand, we don't want to start out of the gate with a reduced stand right now. That's also going to negatively impact yield down the road. On the other side of the equation, you got to look at workload. How much do I need to get covered? You know, we don't want to fall in the later end of that planting window as well. We know yields drop off significantly once we get past mid-May. That's also a risk to consider as well from the other side. You know, there's probably not going to be one thing that's going to impact this. Always everything, either positively or negatively, is going to have many factors that come into play, right? Not one thing. You know, a tool that's getting used a little bit right now is the cold germ test. There's a variety of tests out there. Make sure you understand what that test is telling you, but that is a tool that you can use to really determine that planting order a little bit, right? So which hybrids are going to tend to be better in that cooler, wetter conditions early, which ones are going to favor that, you know, that later, warmer soil conditions. So that is a tool you can use. You can also contact us. We can give you a little bit of direction too on which hybrids are going to respond better to that early cool planting. You know, the other piece is looking at that soil type, right? So that really comes into play. You know, try to avoid, you know, especially in the early conditions, avoid that poorly drained soil that stays saturated, because that's where we really fall into that trouble. You know, the cool soil is one thing, but that cool saturated soil is really as a negative. So look at that soil type piece. Also pay attention, you know, if you have acres that are no-till, minimum till versus your conventional or strip tills, that comes into play. We typically see about 5 degrees cooler soil temps under that stubble than we would in a strip or in conventional till. So that can also have a big impact in terms of early planting. You know, and really the last piece is just looking at that forecast, right? So, you know, look at that 0 to 6 day, which right now is really scary for us. And then also the 6 to 10 day a little bit, look at that as well. You know, right now from a soil temperature standpoint, we're really in a poor spot. We did an early planting trial on Monday there at Chancellor, and the soil conditions at 3 in the afternoon at 2 inches were only 44 degrees, so not very favorable at that point. And then obviously with the conditions we're having right now, those are going downhill. So we really got to pay attention to that short-term forecast, you know, not only temperature, but what that moisture is going to come with that, because those, like I said, that's worst case scenario when you get the saturated conditions with the cold. So there again, we're probably in a little bit of a holding pattern. We'll wait to see what that 6 to 10 day forecast gives us and go from there. Like always, you know, feel free to give us a call if you have any questions. Thanks.